We built on the science of like
Well, it's just like my T-shirt, God.
manifest.
Manifest.
Right, right. But the science of, well, first off, like the science of living mathematics and getting this culture of mathematics, alphabets, and 120 lessons, like this is something that has, for me, has been simplified in a way, or and crunched down like a concentrated body of knowledge that, see, now you go into these other different sciences, you go into like astrology, or even going further, like going into like the science that we was building on before about the science of masonry, right? And this masonry, like, it's vast. It's a vast knowledge. 120 or mathematics simply is really crunched down, and it's a simplified version of all that. Whereas people got to go through all these different degrees to get to what we simply give.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's a part of their problem, because we don't have that problem. But that's something that they choose to do because they want to go through the schools and education that's been brought up in this society, and they think that's the only way to get the proper knowledge. When we know that it's not. The man on the street got knowledge. You just don't know what he knows until you converse with him and you build with him. Now, for me, a part of me walking on a daily basis, living in New York, living in Jersey, living in Philly, living in Delaware, living in Baltimore, I love construction. The way the cities are formed and the buildings and all of that. Why are they built like this? It was my interest in that started me, studying masonry. And then masonry took me all the way back to Kemet.
But masonry simply means a builder, bricklayer.
Well, masonry is dealing with this, God. We got to keep this in perspective too. First of all, the word mason means children of the sun. The first masons were black men and women. We are the builders. Okay? Now, masonry or mason has come down to be, a builder. But there are different kinds of builders. There's speculative builders and there's operative builders. The speculative builder is the one that writes your law, is your minister, doctors, diplomats, your senators and congressmen. Okay? The operative mason is the one that you see out on the street that's building your sidewalk. He's building your buildings. He's building your bridges. See, they're operative, meaning that they're going to create and build from the science of the Masons, which is the science of numbers and mathematics. That's the other thing that interests me about Masonry, because it dealt with mathematics. They're utilizing what? Bricks.
So did you go into the actual school of science, school of study?
No.
You just studied on your own?
I studied on my own. And see, Masonry, especially nowadays, is dealing with signs and symbols. So if you know the signs and the symbols, you know what they're talking about. When you go to a building and it has no doorknobs, and you look like, how the hell am I going to get in this building? Well, a Mason has specific knocks. There's another person on the other side of that door just waiting to hear the knocks so that you can gain entrance. Why? It's to keep out what they call the profane, those who don't know.
So that's where see, a lot of brothers get into that, look at Masonry as 10%.
It is.
A lot of times they are the rich slave makers of the poor.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that all of them ain't rich. Some of them ain't got no slaves, and most of them are poor.
And some of them are poison animal eaters.
Exactly. Straight 85.
Slaves of mental death and power who don't know who true living God is.
The science is with Masonry is, for most of them, especially nowadays, is that they may have the knowledge, but they don't live it. You see what I mean? They utilize the knowledge to gain entertainment, fame, money, power, things like that. But they don't teach it. See, that's one of my main things. If you have a form of civilization, which Masonry is, and you know a certain level of knowledge, why are you not teaching it, especially to your children, to your woman? Because it be the same ones that say, oh, I'm a Mason, they got, they want to tell you that, they want to show you the ring, but their babies is wilding. They in the lodge, wilding. See what I mean?
There's a lot of brothers that took that study on who were 5%ers.
Yeah.
That took on these studies.
Hey, listen, you can't force a man to do anything, but for me, I don't understand, I never really understood the purpose to why submit yourself when you know you the supreme being. I can give you an example, which was so crazy for me to find out later on. My father is a master mason.
Right, so is mine. So
He's a
mine
grandmaster. But see, my father wasn't exposed to what I was exposed to. You see what I mean? That was his path to civilization. And I can't afford him for that.
And my old dad, he was up dealing with Prince Hall science.
Yeah. But for me to be a law and then see that my father is the Grand Master of a lodge, that's elevation.
Peace. I mean, did he eat swine?
Oh, well, we were kids. Shit, I ain't swine.
No, I'm talking about your older as a master mason. No, because
back in the day.
Right. No, back in the well, no, because I say that because my old dad, he was a master mason, and he would say certain things in the house, and I'm like, later on I kept going on to it.
Right.
But all throughout my years, he ate mad swine. He's actually the interesting thing about it was that he ate swine and put Farrakhan on while he was cooking swine.
And was a mason.
See what I'm saying? So it was like, once I started learning the science, it was like.
See, some people have this thing going. They be like, listen, I don't care what I eat. I'm gonna eat what I want, but what I know.
Dietary law. No dietary,
Absolutely.
right?
No dietary law.
Right.
So for most of them, I'm gonna eat what I want. I'm gonna do what I want, such and such and such. But when I get around those who speak my language, then I'm gonna speak to them.
Right.
And I'll speak to them in a higher language than most of the people around me, so nobody knows what I'm talking about. So that's why.
And I never respected that. That part I did, because I'm like, wait a minute, I've been in the house all this time, and my mind is like, you.
That's the same way I would have felt too, G. Like,
why you ain't
teach me?
Why you ain't giving me that? I need that.
Exactly. That's my whole thing about my beef with them, and also the fact of you being the 10% because you're not teaching the main people that need to know. We got so many black youths and so many black families out here. How come you're not teaching them the things that they need to know? This is one of the main reasons why, Allah hit the streets. Forget all of that. You know what I mean? We don't need no buildings. We don't need no temples. I got the brothers on the corner. You know what I mean? Y'all want to talk about, this don't look good and this don't look right and such and such and such, and people go, well, why are you teaching them? How come you're not teaching us? Because they need it more than you do. For one. For two, if I did teach you, you may not even want it.
You won't appreciate it.
You won't appreciate it. Why? Because your glass is already full with something else that I can't give you anything new to fit in your glass. And you're not even trying to empty your glass to get nothing new. So basically what am I doing? I'm wasting my time.
Right.
So Allah went to the babies. Why? Because our babies are sponges and they want to know. And if you teach them the right way, they will grow up to be the right people. Plain and simple. They will look for righteousness instead of unrighteousness. They will help their people. They will help their nation instead of destroying it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, for me, it's so funny because when I speak to my father and I build with him on certain things, and he looks at me like, really? I never knew that. I never thought that. Right. See, the Masons don't have 360, God. They got 120. They got 33 degrees of 100%. We got 360 of 360. We got 100 of 100. Allah gave us the keys to everything.
Well, the 120 that we have is that 120 degrees, and it's up for us to go get the other 240. It's up to us to walk that walk.
It's 120 of knowledge, 120 of wisdom, and 120 of understanding.
Right, but we get we get the knowledge, and at times we get the wisdom. We get the somebody's styled wisdom of how to do things. But we got to go out and live it to actually gain the understanding, and that's a continual thing.
Well, the understanding is always in threefold too, God. You get the understanding mentally without, like me and you get the understanding right now sitting here on the couch and we ain't got to do nothing. You also
we building.
Right. But that's
and then do knowledge, right.
The other two, we have to live to experience to get the understanding because they're emotional. And then it's the physical. Okay? So we say knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, mental. The wisdom is that I have to live it out. I have to experience it. I have to go through it. You know what I'm saying? The understanding is going to be that result that you're always going to get in the end, positive or negative. That's your understanding. You see what I'm saying? The Father taught us to where get the right knowledge, do the right wisdom, you'll get the right understanding.
Right, and that's simple. That's a simple order.
That's 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. And ABC.
That's right. And 1, 2, 3 born you to 6, which is what? Equality, the correct level of balance. See, you can multiply 1, 2, 3 and still get 6. You can add 1, 2, 3 and still get 6. You know? And God is that next step. And what is the next step? The mind.
Knowledge above equality.
That's right.
Having knowledge above that limitation.
Exactly.
You must do your own research, as I did.
If Mecca did this.